Viewers, welcome to Radio Metro Mail, and you are watching Because of You, our special program on International Women's Day 2020. This year in Canada, the theme of the International Women's Day is Because of You. Our women, when they equally participate in social, economic and political life, that benefits us, that benefits our community, that benefits people of all gender. On March 8, across the world, people celebrate International Women's Day. We are also celebrating International Women's Day here in Canada. Radio Metro Mail has put up a number of programs to celebrate this International Women's Day. And this program is also part of that. Today we have a very special guest with us to celebrate International Women's Day. We have Doly Begum with us. Doly Begum is a Canadian politician. She is the first Canadian Bangladeshi origin to hold elected office at any level in Canada. We discussed a number of issues related to women and status of women in Canada. It was a very vibrant discussion. Let's watch it together.
I think we have progressed throughout the many years, but it doesn't mean that we have reached, the ideal place where we could be, and that's a very interesting part, because it means that you face a lot of challenges. It means that you face a lot of barriers, but it also means that at a time like now, we have a lot of companions, we have a lot of allies, we have a lot of friends, family members who understand what it means to be a woman and what the challenges are, and they open many doors for you, and you're able to open a lot of doors that may have not been open, in the past few decades ago or centuries ago, and we're able to change the world in many different ways that we probably weren't able to as much as we wanted before. I think one of the main challenges is sometimes being heard. When you have a lot of different ways people perceive you because of your gender, sometimes you have to make sure that you amplify your voice a little bit more. Sometimes you have to make sure that you prove yourself a little bit more. So even if you're educated and you don't want to mention it, you have to demonstrate your expertise in many different ways. Or sometimes you almost feel like you're holding on to your CV right next to you, just to say, I do have experience or expertise in these topics that may not necessarily come out or presumed because you're a woman. And I think that's a huge challenge that we face all the time. One of the privileges I have, in my family, being the oldest daughter and the only daughter, I know that my parents treat me, they love me extra sometimes and care for me extra. I know that my husband, my brother worry about me more. I wouldn't say in a sexist sort of way. I think it's more about the fact that the world is a little bit harder on you, harsher on you as a woman, and that's why you have to, they want to protect you. And I think I feel that love and that extra care all the time, and that's a privilege for me. I am a huge fan of Maya Angelou, but if I were to say one woman in my community, in my life, one that I have watched, grown up watching her strength, that's my mother. She's one of the most resilient women I know. She has shown her steadfast, her strength through and through. At the most difficult times we have faced in our lives, in our family. When we came here in Canada, my mom she's not a university graduate. She's actually not a high school graduate either. But you won't know that when you talk to her, because of how incredible she is, because of how knowledgeable she is, because of how much she's learned through really difficult times, navigating the city, navigating the system, navigating the entire structure, and breaking through patriarchy. And I think that's been so incredible for me, and it's really been an opportunity for me to learn from her and so she's that one woman I would definitely look up to and learn from.
Thank you.
There are a lot of different way people perceive women, depending on the way that you look, depending on the way that you dress, depending on the way you speak. There are a lot of different assumptions that are made. But one I would definitely change is I would ask for fairness, and I've actually talked about this yesterday at another event. I think most importantly is always look at whatever whoever you're looking at, and if there's two individuals and one is a man and a woman, just look at them fairly and try to be equitable in that way, because once you try to do that, you'll realize that you're sort of putting that layer or that filter that you're seeing that woman through, which is actually sometimes blinding us from seeing who she may really is. I think there are a lot of women behind the success of many women. I think there are a lot of men behind the success of men. I think if I were to speak for myself, I would say my parents, both my parents, my dad and my mom, have been incredible force behind my this little success that I have. But I also say my brother and my husband. As we're growing up, if it wasn't for my brother, I probably would not have a master's degree today. If he didn't take on all the roles and responsibilities, and as a young man at that time, who I don't think really understood all of the world around him, but all he knew was that his big sister wanted more education, and to me that's so incredible. And so we can't really categorize whether we have to give the credit to a man or not. I think it depends on who it is, and I also have to add that there are a lot of successful men behind whom there are strong women, and it's really important to recognize that, because I think that dual strength really helps each other become who they are. Well, one of the things that actually I would love to see in all all government places, all policies, and this is something that actually I've worked when I was an employee in City Hall, which is having a gender equity lens in every policy, every municipal or federal policy that's been made, that are tabled. And what it does is you're looking at any sort of laws or any sort of legislations that's being passed from a gender equity lens, and it allows you to make sure that whatever it is, whether it's we talked about things like snow cleaning on the road. If you look at snow cleaning and the time that's happening from a gender equity lens, you can actually help women in a neighborhood, say single mothers or working women. You can actually allow them to get out of their house, make sure they drop off their kids, depending on the timing that you shovel the snow on that, in that road, on that road. But I think it's really important for us to have whatever we do in any sort of levels of government to make sure that that policy is done through a gender equity lens. I would say that reflects the mentality in a lot of South Asian communities as well, because we have a lot of different traditional values about certain I guess platforms you have to reach at a time in your life. So for a lot of girls, by the time you're this age, you should finish your high school, your university. You should get married. You should make sure that you sort of follow a path, have kids, or it's sort of these sort of life goals, I would say, that are set by society. And I would hope that our families and our communities sort of walk back a little bit and say, you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. If someone thinks that they're 30 years old and then they can get married, let's not all jump on her case and let her be and and allow her to be independent and get an education and get a career and be in the highest of positions that she will achieve, and then she can go on and do the other things that the society folks may have wanted her to do. I would, I think one of the things is really important is for us to look for every opportunity possible and make sure that we break those barriers, but we also take the opportunities that are given to us, that are open to us, and sometimes it may be difficult. Some doors may not just open. You have to push through, you have to kick through to open those doors, and I truly feel that and we have to have obviously support system. We have to have a whole community. We know the famous phrase that it takes a village to raise a child, but I think for a lot of women, I would say try to find who your support system is. Who are the people that allow you to or empower you, and take every opportunity that you ever find. Evaluate which one's the best for you, and seek those opportunities, see the best you can. If you don't have any of those, come to me. I'm happy to take you on and do my best in helping the way I can in my limited capacity. But it is difficult, and I recognize that. But I also know that when you think that there are every door is closed, I know that there is one that's open, and have faith that you are able to break through that. It's really important for us to have a goal in terms of things that we want to see happen in the world. There are a lot of things that we want to change, a lot of issues around us, a lot of problems around us that we want to fix. First, I think we should all approach for a way where we want to be able to fix the little problems, or at least try to find ways that we can help one another. That's the best way we can be good human beings to each other. And for women, when I look at myself, the place that I'm able to sit now in the legislature, I consider myself really privileged to be in that place, and honored to be in that place. But I also recognize that I have been given that opportunity because of the support system that I've had, because of the family that I have, who have sacrificed so much. I recognize that I have a wonderful community, that I meet women every single day. In our provincial youth cabinet, we have lots of brilliant young women who have amazing goals, who are very talented. And when I look at them, I truly believe that they will reach their potential if we could just help them a little bit. So I think finding those networks, finding the right possibilities is important, and making sure that you don't give up. It's really easy to give up. It's really easy to fall back, and sometimes it's really hard to keep up and say hello to the next morning and wake up despite what's happening. But do the harder task and don't give up. Well, I have to say I'm really proud of the progress that we have made. It's this year actually. This past November was 20 years for us in Canada, and I remember the progress that we have. I see the progress that we have made in the past 20 years. But I also know and have heard from people who have been here for much longer than that, and the struggle they faced, or the racism they faced, whether it's racism or Islamophobia, and just in general, a lot of concerns, whether it was the type of food we wanted to eat, the grocery stores, or the accessibility, the community, finding familiar faces, finding jobs, which has been a huge one. And I think it's been very difficult. But the way the community members have worked so hard and accomplished so much, I mean, the fact that we have RMM here, and I'm doing an interview with a Bengali medium that's going to push this through, that's a really remarkable thing, and we have to celebrate that. We have so many different news channels, newspapers. We have so many different individuals who have reached such amazing places in our community, and that's something to celebrate. So my message is very well done for what you have been doing, and I truly salute the community for that. I also know that there are struggles that we're facing when it comes to mental health, when it comes to, and I would say that's just not just for young people, but I would say elder mental health is a big one too in our community, and sometimes it's a taboo. Sometimes we don't talk about it, but it's very real. I have to say we have to do better when it comes to taking care of each other, when it comes to holding each other up, so that we don't lose each other. One life lost, one life stranded, one through the crack is way too many, and we really have to do better for that. And I take that responsibility myself, along with many others, to do that. And I hope that we can work together as a community to make sure that we are there for each other and have a strategy, whether it's something with the government, something through the community, something that's really thought out to help the community in that sense. Well, keep listening to Radio Metro Mill. I think the work that you're doing here and the topics that you're bringing forward is so incredible, and I am really proud of some of the past episodes that you have done, especially looking at, I think one of them was on social media and the dangers of it, and really picking out some of the details and how we can make ourselves aware. So I would say definitely keep listening, keep supporting, and this is how we can make sure that we create a community that's healthier, safer, happier, and encourage each other as well.
Thank you.
It's International Women's Day, and I think it's a time to celebrate women, although we should be celebrating women every single day of the year. I think every single day women do the difficult work, and that some of the most difficult work, whether you look at I'm the critic for early learning and childcare, so a lot of ECEs, a lot of early childhood educators, to nurses, PSWs, teachers. A lot of these fields are mainly women, and they do incredible work, and we should be celebrating them throughout the year. I also find that a lot of young women in our community, especially in the Bangladeshi community, are facing a more difficult time in terms of being the Bangladeshi Canadian that we are, because when you're outside, you're facing a world where you have to show your Canadian self, and when you're home or in the community, you're showing your Bangladeshi self, and putting those both together, because that's who we are as Bangladeshi Canadians. How do we combine the two and really become, make sure that we are able to be okay with that, and making the community be okay with that. It's a difficult, if I'm able to explain that, it's a difficult way to create that bridge, and I hope that we can empower a lot more women in our community, a lot more young women in our community, to make sure that they reach their potential, because they're extremely talented. We have to make sure that we empower them and encourage them. And from me to all the young women out there, you are worth it. You are incredible. Do not ever let anyone tell you you are less than anyone in the world.
Dear viewers, as Doly says that we have to celebrate women every single day. There are a number of women around us those who have been contributing to our life, those who have been contributing to our community, our society. We must recognize their contribution. And one more thing, as she indicated, we have to create an environment, we have to create a space in our community so that our young women thrive utilizing their potential strength. That's our responsibility. Thank you very much for watching our program. But before I go, all women, those who are watching our program, let me tell you one thing. This world is a better place. It is because of you. Take care and stay well.